All right, y'all, I'm going to go for it. Perhaps the most dangerous topic that I could ever bring to this channel. But let me say this first. This is not a political video. This is not a political channel. And I know it's probably impossible, but I'm going to encourage you to keep politics out of the comments. Why? Well, today it's because we're talking about a topic that's been buzzing around the Hot Toys and 6-scale community lately, and that is this: tariffs, and what that means for us collectors. So let's be civil. Maybe learn a thing or two and leave feeling good? All that and more is coming up next. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Tariffs sound like one of those dry economic terms that make your eyes glaze over. Maybe you see it as a trigger word that incites rage and vitriol within you, but stick with me, because this is actually an exciting moment for us to reflect on our passion, adapt to change, and come out stronger as a community. Yeah, we're going to get to some of the news from Sideshow that ties right into this, and trust me, it's not as gloomy as you might expect. But of course, before we get into any of that, I do want to encourage you to leave me a like on this video if you've not done so already, because this is one video that I really want people within this community to certainly see. So make sure that you are subscribed to the channel, of course, if you haven't done that as well. And let me once again stress that we are not going to be fighting in those comments, pointing fingers at any person, country, or political party. We are simply looking at facts and what that means for collectors. Okay? Look, I want the engagement and I want the conversation within the comments. But if you break those rules, your comment will be removed. I'm not trying to silence anybody. I'm simply trying to keep a decent community together. We are building a community here, as I said, and we're not starting fights. So if you're good with that, let's get into it. If not, now would be a really good time to click away. First, let's break it down. What are tariffs anyway? Well, if there's anything I've learned in this age of the internet, is that mob mentality sometimes drives the narrative, and there are certainly uneducated people out there spewing all kinds of baseless facts and their opinions. Simply put, tariffs are taxes that governments place on goods coming into their country. And let me just say, nearly all countries use tariffs as part of their economic policies. Specifically, every one of the 193 member states of the United Nations employs tariffs to some extent. They're designed to protect local industries, balance trade, or sometimes just to raise a little extra revenue. And so in recent years, we've seen tariffs pop up more frequently, especially on imported goods like Hot Toys and other collectibles that we all adore because they are crafted overseas for most of us before making their way to our shelves. So when tariffs increase, the cost of bringing those goods can rise, and that's where things start to get interesting for us. Now, I'll be honest, higher costs might sound like a challenge at first. After all, we're a community that pours our hearts and our wallets into hunting down that perfect Spider-Man figure, a jaw-dropping Batman statue, or that elusive limited edition artisan or in-art figure. But here's the thing, change doesn't have to mean doom and gloom. In fact, I see it as an opportunity, an invitation to get creative, to rethink how we collect, and to celebrate the resilience of this hobby that we love so much. Let me share a very specific example that ties into this. Recently, a message from Sideshow Collectibles started making its way around the interwebs, and it's worth highlighting. And here is what they said. It says, "I hope this message finds you well. I'm writing to share an important update. Beginning 2/26/2025, we'll be implementing a small 2% surcharge on all distributed products and 1.2% surcharge on all Sideshow manufactured products on affected orders to help offset these new costs. These orders include products that are arriving in our US warehouse after 2/26 of this year." Now, let's unpack this for a moment. First of all, this was sent to authorized retailers, not the average collector. But regardless, and let's just get that out there, Sideshow isn't dropping some massive price hike bomb on us. They're talking about a modest adjustment, 2% on distributed items and 1.25% on their own manufactured pieces. That's it. So to put it in perspective, if you're eyeing a $300 figure, that's an extra $6 or less. For a company that's navigating the choppy waters of tariffs and global shipping, this feels like a thoughtful measure designed to keep quality and availability up that we've come to expect. And honestly, I see that as a win. They're being transparent, giving us a heads up, and keeping the impact minimal so that we can keep adding to our collections without breaking the bank, or at least planning to add to our collections. But I get it. Not everyone sees it that way, and I want to take a moment to address those of you who might be feeling frustrated or even angry right now. I've heard the rumblings. Collectors pointing fingers at companies like Sideshow saying, "Why should we pay more? This isn't fair." Some are upset at the governments for imposing the tariffs. Others at manufacturers for not absorbing the cost entirely. And you know what? It's okay. It is okay to feel that sting. We're passionate about this hobby, and any change that hits our wallets can certainly feel personal. Maybe you've been saving up for months for that dream piece, and now you're worried that this surcharge is going to throw a wrench into your plans, and you might not get the thing that you really wanted after all. Look, I hear you, and your feelings are valid. And here's the thing though, pointing fingers doesn't change the reality. It just keeps us stuck. Companies like Sideshow, they're not the bad guys here. They're caught in the same global web that we are, trying to balance rising costs while still delivering quality that we demand. And the government? Look, tariffs are a big, messy policy tool, often out of our control as collectors. Instead of letting frustration simmer, let's channel it. Let's turn it into action. Whether that's reaching out to companies with feedback, supporting each other in this community, or finding new ways to stretch our collecting dollar. This isn't about blame. It's about adapting and thriving, because that is what we as collectors do. To quote Gunny Highway, we adapt, we overcome, we improvise. It's a little bit of a deep cut, but if you know that, let me know. It's a good one. But I've also heard another layer of concern, and that cuts a little bit deeper, and I want to speak to it directly. Some of you have specifically said, this isn't just about money. It's about happiness. These prices feel unfair because they're taking away the joy I get from collecting, and it's keeping me from happiness. I've seen comments online where collectors say things like, I work hard all week, and that new Hot Toys figure or statue or anything, that was my little escape. Now it's harder to afford, and it feels like someone taking that joy away from me. That hits home, doesn't it? You are certainly entitled to feel that way. So for many of us, collecting isn't just a hobby, it's a lifeline, and I get that. The world is effed up. These figures, these statues, this community, it's our escape. It's the thrill of opening that box, the satisfaction of posing a figure or messing with your display, though most of us still suck at it, but seeing the way that it lights us up on a tough day. It's so naturally. When it creeps up, those costs just a little bit, it can feel like the world is chipping away at you and at your spark. So I want to sit with that for just a second because it's real. If you are feeling that way, look, you are not alone. Collecting is personal. And if anything, it makes it tougher and can feel like a betrayal. I get that, but let's not let that feeling define us. Happiness isn't locked behind a price tag, and these small increases, $6 on a $300 figure, a few bucks here or there, that's not the end of the road. It's a detour, not a dead end. We've got options. We've got each other. Maybe it means saving a little bit longer or teaming up with a friend to split some big order. Maybe it's rediscovering the joy in the pieces you already own. Crazy concept, I know, but maybe it's just rearranging your shelf. I'm doing that right now, snapping some pics and sharing them with the community. The happiness that we get from collecting, it's bigger than any tariff or surcharge. It's in us, and it's our creativity, and it's our love for this art. So, what does this all mean for Hot Toys collecting as a whole? Let's look at the bright side. And trust me, there's plenty of it. For one, tariffs, small adjustments like Sideshow, it reminds us how this is a global hobby. And that's kind of cool if you think about it. That Hot Toys Iron Man figure that you got pre-ordered, it's a masterpiece born from international collaboration between designers, sculptors, manufacturers, all working together across borders to bring Mr. Stark to life. Let's consider this little surcharge here or there just as a nod to the incredible journey that these pieces take to reach us. In my opinion, of course. It's a small price to pay, in my opinion, for the magic of holding a tiny, perfectly articulated piece of cinematic history in our hands. Second, this is a chance for us to get smarter as collectors. Maybe it's time to prioritize that grail that you've been dreaming so much about. Get it locked in before anything shifts into the future. Or perhaps it's an opportunity to explore the secondary market just a little bit more. Look, there are a bunch of savvy collectors out there trading and selling at prices that might sidestep some of these new costs, as I've seen on all these amazing forums and groups lately. So that's just proof that our community always finds a way to keep the passion alive. And speaking of community, that's the real silver lining here. Tariffs, they might tweak the numbers, but they can't touch the heart of hot toys and collecting in general. The excitement of the hunt, the thrill of unboxing, the joy of sharing our displays with friends online and off. If anything, moments like this bring us closer together. We swap tips, we strategize, we celebrate each other's wins. So a 2% surcharge, it's not going to dim the glow of that LED lit bat signal on your shelf or the pride that you feel when you finally complete a lineup. Look, let's not forget that the companies themselves, Sideshow, Hot Toys, InArt, others, they're not just sitting back, they are innovating. Maybe this pushes them to explore more domestic production options down the line, which could mean faster shipping or even new designs tailored to what we love most. Or maybe they double down on exclusives and special editions, giving us more of a reason to get excited for the next queue that's coming up. It's a small adjustment now, but it could be a spark for something bigger and better in the future. It's all about perspective and how you look at it. So as we look ahead to 2025 and beyond, I say that we embrace this moment. Tariffs are just a bump in the road, a chance to flex our creativity, lean on our community, and keep doing what we do best, collecting with passion and purpose. That Sideshow update, it's not a warning, it's a heads up from a partner in this journey, letting you know that they've got your backs while keeping the figures flowing. A 2% tweak, it's not the end of the world. Annoying? Yeah, but it's a reminder that this hobby is worth it, that every dollar we spend is an investment in art, nostalgia, and joy, not our bottom line. In closing, let's keep our eyes on the prize, literally. Whether it's Sideshow statue, a Hot Toys figure, or a custom piece that you've been eyeing, the world of collecting is as bright as ever. So tariffs, they might shift the landscape a bit, yes, but they can't stop us from building our own little universes, one collectible at a time. So here's to us, to the collectors, the dreamers, the ones who see a figure and imagine a story and they remember how they grew up. Keep sharing and keep the good vibes going. So until next time, happy collecting. We're in this together. Enjoy the global community, and I'll be seeing you in our next video.